Hey y'all, and welcome back to the Resourceful Homestead. This is the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch, and I'm Susan. And here is a shelf that my husband found on the side of the road. It's a utility shelf, but we're going to turn it into a overflow pantry. He's actually going to add in a couple of wood shelves to kind of fill in the blank areas, but we're going to get it started today. The shelves have some rust on it. I've already cleaned it down. And I'm going to put on some self-adhesive shelf covering. And I found this at Dollar Tree for $5 for a roll. It's 9 feet by 18 inches. So that ought to more than cover these two shelves that I need to take care of. And I'll have leftover for some other project. So the first thing I did was I brought in all the 5-gallon buckets that we have of our long-term storage and got them into this room in one place so that we can find it, and 3 of them are stabilizing that shelf. All right, that was simple enough. I got the contact paper on there to keep that clean. It'll be easy to wipe down now, and it's covering all those rust spots instead of painting the unit. I've pulled some of my canned goods from 2018 and 2021. I'm going to try to fill up 2 shelves in here and maybe put some at the very top of my shelf. And I've got all of my 5-gallon buckets that are filled with all kinds of good stuff. So we're just going to wash these jars down as we put them up. And one of the items we haven't used up is the canned okra. Mainly because I don't eat a lot of fried foods anymore like that. But I would like to have a back on this shelf so the jars wouldn't fall through, but unfortunately I don't have that. Maybe later on we can take it down and put a thin piece of plywood on the back. That would be very, very nice. So you're just going to see me filling up my pantry shelves, and then I'll come back and talk to you about something else that I had to do for my chickens. These shelves are really going to come in handy for me, and it really does clear up some space in my other pantry. The curtain on the window is a blackout curtain. I do have the silver bubble wrap that I used in the other pantry that I can put behind there, and that will help keep the sunlight from coming through too much on my food. Also, we close the vent on the floor in this room during the winter months and open it during the summer months so the rooms will stay cool throughout the year. Okay, here's our overflow pantry of items that need to be used up. We've got sliced green tomatoes from 2021, okra from 2021. Then down here we've got scapernog and muscadine jelly from 2021. And then I've got some Chow Chow 2021 and 2018. So I decided to bring all of that out. And then I have some sweet relish from 2021. And then I have some mock jellies that was actually made with green tomatoes. So mock jam, raspberry, and peach. I'm going to pull back. And I'm using the top up here to store 2 of my pressure canners and 1 of my stock pots. Well, I brought in some of my pots and I got everything stacked in here nice and neat. I've got plenty of room to move around. I know exactly what is in this overflow pantry now, and I can use up some of that older food that we have here that is still good. How do you know when your food is not good? I found 2 jars. That one, it has a layer of mold on the top and the telltale sign. By the way, that's a ball lid. And then I found a can of sliced green tomatoes. They still look good, but that's one of those cheap mason canning lids that I bought from Amazon that I thought was made in America, and come to find out they were made in China. So I try to use up all of these jars with those mason canning lids on them as quickly as possible. And I still found a few over here that has not been eaten up, so those will be first. Plus, I want to show you one other thing. This was another issue with those mason canning jar lids. You see that circle right there? There is a ding right there. And I thought for sure it would lose its seal, but it's still sealed. It's still good. Eventually, I'll have a place for all my canning supplies, my canning pots, my pressure canners, etc. That is the hope. And it's clearing out space in my main pantry for all the new food that will be coming in this year. And as I use this up, I can pull more of the older food out because I still have some older food from 2021 and 2022 that I need to get out of there and get it eaten up. We are just 2 people, so we don't eat a lot of foods throughout the day. And so we have a lot of overflow in our pantry right now. Let's go into the kitchen because I've got a chicken that has been sneezing. I've got a duck that just recently started sneezing or coughing, and then I found another chicken, one of the new chickens in our big chicken coop that was also doing the same thing. So I'm thinking it's something to do with those new chickens coming in, although I'm not sure. Let's see what I come up with to take care of that. Well, y'all, we bought some chickens recently, and I noticed first in our buff Brahmas, that one of them had a little bit of a cough or a sneeze. And then I noticed a duck in the same pen, and one of the new chickens also had this cough. So I have a home remedy that is all natural, will not hurt the egg production, but it will produce a anti-inflammatory and give them some antibiotic along with. So we're hoping that this will cure this problem and it will save us from having to buy something over the counter for them. We don't want it to get any worse. I don't see any snotty beaks or anything like that, or them coughing up a lot of phlegm, so we know it's just in the nasal passages. Now, there are several things that it could be that has caused this. We don't know for sure that it came from the new batch of chickens or not, because when we brought them home, we didn't hear any of them wheezing or coughing or sneezing. So with that said, I'm going to show you a really natural remedy that I'm using in their water for a few days to see if it clears it up. I've got a half pint jar ready, and I'm going to label it when I'm done. But the ingredients are oregano, that is your natural antibiotic, turmeric for inflammation, and then garlic. And so I'm going to take my measuring cup and my tablespoon, and I'm going to mix equal parts of each of these. So about 3 tablespoons each, I think. And I'm feeding this in their water supply, all of them in the big coop, and the duck pen where the blind ducks are at. So 3 tablespoons of that. So the garlic is mainly like an immune booster. And then I had Mexican oregano handy, so I'm just going to use that. You can actually steep the oregano if you want to and add it to the water. But I'm going to give it to them dry and let the water do its thing throughout the day in the sunshine. So I'm just going to give this a good mix. Break up any clumps I'm seeing. And we're going to get this into our jar. So that made about a half a cup of this mixture. You don't need a whole lot. You're going to give them a half teaspoon per gallon of water in the morning, or a teaspoon if it's 2 gallons. So that is the mixture. And I'm going to label that and use that every morning for about a week and see if it clears it up. And so I just labeled the top of my jar equal amounts of the turmeric, oregano, and garlic powder. This is for chicken respiratory. 1/2 teaspoon per 1 gallon of water, and used for 7 days. Here's some content I think you might like. Thank you for visiting our homestead. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hype, and share to help our small channel grow. See you next time for more simple living, frugal tips, and farmyard fun.